Okay, the next email is a new booking. So Robert's trip is booked. That means that this is a brand new booking. Because the email is still in the inbox, it is not yet in Turo. Let me close that out just so we're not getting any, looking at the wrong trip. And we can close this one because we're no longer looking at it. So to enter a new trip, you're going to be in Denver Management in the Trips app, and you're going to hit Add Trip. Let me make this a little bit bigger so that we have got the full screen. And we can scroll down here. Let's go ahead and before we do anything, before we reply to what he says, we can click Add Trip. Let's go ahead and get it in the system. So what you're going to want to fill out is all the fields that are required. This top field is automatically populated. You do not put anything into that. Don't change any of these selections here either until the trip has been added. So first name, Robert. Again, all of this information is available in the email. I would use the email as the source of the information, not the website, because the reservation ID is not available anywhere on the website for some reason. You can only get it in the email. So everything that you need is right here toward the bottom of the email. So we're going to do Robert Parks. Make sure that you do spell things correctly. That's extremely important. The renter will actually see information that's in here. The Podio system is set up to automatically generate text messages and other notifications throughout the trip. And we address the renter by their name. So if you mistype their name, it's going to mistype getting communication outbound to the renter, and that just does not look good. So what he's rented is the 2016 Jeep Wrangler. It's the white one. You'll get to know these vehicles, but the 2016 Jeep Wrangler, we only have one of them. When you select it, then select somewhere else and it will actually add it. If you don't know for sure if this is the one, you can match up the photo. So I can click on, actually here we can click, if you right click on it, I think we can open that in a new tab or open it in a new window and it'll load the vehicle. Yep, it did. So right click on it. And it shows you see that vehicle matches, that is the correct one. We will always have the photos in Podio be the ones that are on the Turo website, so you can always match those up. Let's go ahead and close that out, and trip beginning is right here, so it's September 26th at 9 a.m. Again, very, very important that these are correct. Double check what you're entering in. If those are ever incorrect, the vehicle may not be ready at the right time because this actually creates the schedule in the system for the valets. So very, very, very important that it's correct. October 2nd at 9 a.m. is when they're returning it. Mileage limitation is 1,000 miles. Let's go down to the phone number. The best thing to do here is simply copy it and paste it. That helps us to ensure that there are no typos. Don't worry about changing the phone number type. It's not a big deal. Our system, it just doesn't. We only keep one phone number typically per booking, so it doesn't really matter. Copy and paste the reservation ID. Again, this is also extremely important that it matches because any communication with Turo, we often reference this reservation ID, and the renter is given that reservation ID for any data they send to us. So, for instance, when they send in their flight information, we ask them to enter in their reservation ID. If we have the wrong reservation ID in our system and they go submit information, they won't link up. So we won't get the information that they're sending. At least it won't be attached to their trip automatically. So can create some problems. Trip value is the U-earn type. So 606.90 is what we're getting. Delivery and return location. Right now it's set for Denver International Airport, so that is the default in our system. DE and airport curbside, same thing. So we don't need to change any of that. If they were doing a custom location, it would show that address here. If they have not selected the actual airport, it may say, just by default, it says 8500 Pena Boulevard. That is the same thing as the airport. So you would still have that marked as DEN Airport Curbside. If you ever it looks weird, just let me know. But right here, if this shows the Denver International Airport, it's the airport, even if it says 8500 Pena Boulevard, because that's where our vehicles are quote unquote marked as located in the system. Again, that may be a little bit confusing, but that is how it works. If they put in another location, for instance, they put in their house address or something, it will list that here, and it will say custom location or something along those lines right here. In that case, you would select custom location and then put in the address where it's going to be delivered to or picked up from. Again, I mentioned in the prior video that even though this says delivery, it is actually the delivery and the return of the vehicle. However, we can accommodate different locations for the delivery and the return. If a renter selects the airport, but then in their messages or even later on they say, could we return it somewhere else? The answer is typically yes, they can. However, fees would apply. The only places that we actually provide free pickup and delivery is the airport. Any of these hotels that are listed, these are all hotels that are right by the airport, and our staging lot, which is, again, it's a hotel, but it's listed here as our staging lot. Those are all free of charge for either delivery or return. If they're picking up or dropping off at the Colorado Springs Airport, which I don't actually believe we do anymore on any of our vehicles, or at a custom location, fees do apply, and it's typically over $100 for both delivery and return. If only one of them is a custom location, it's usually in the range of $75 or so. But ask me before you provide any information. When a request like that comes in, and they say, we're picking it up at the airport, but can I drop it off downtown? Like that happens a lot. Can I drop it off in downtown Denver somewhere at my hotel? Yes, they can, but we need to talk about where exactly that is so we can come up with a rate for them to do that. But pay very, very close attention to this and make sure that you do select the correct options there. For getting the trip into the system, that's all you need to do. Ignore all of this stuff down here at the bottom. This is all automation stuff, so it needs to be left the way it is as default, and then simply just click Save Trip. Now that the trip is in the system, Podio is going to automatically do things, and you can see it's doing stuff over here. This is it. It's creating the schedule. It's creating tasks of things for you to be able to do. So now that the trip is in, we actually need to send the renter some messages with information, and you need to call them. So the first thing that you would do, let's go ahead and refresh this page so you can see the tasks that it's created. They won't automatically show up, but refresh the page first. Scroll down to the bottom and you see there's 2 tasks, and they're assigned to the HFC coordinator. These will also show up in your task list, but since you're adding this trip, go ahead and get those knocked out. So one of the first things you're going to do after you have entered the trip into the system is you're going to call the renter. You're going to call them before you send them any additional messages. You can certainly reply to their original message that they sent to us. You can address those specific questions, but before you send any of the information about any of the automated messages that we tell you to send, you need to call them first. So what I recommend that you do is to have 2 screens open. One of them is going to be the script that you're going to use when you call them, and then the other one is going to be the renter's trip. Because what you're going to do throughout the call is you're going to be requesting information from them that you will then want to be able to enter right into the system. Don't write it down somewhere and then enter it in later. That takes too much time. It's a waste of time. It's inefficient. Have the trip up, get familiar with this screen and with how this is laid out, and enter the information as you go. So for this trip, this is Anthony. We just entered his trip in, and this is my script. This is the call script I'm going to use. Hi, this is Zach Backus from Hassle Free Car and Turo. Can I speak with Anthony? And you can just use their first name. We have their first and last name in here. First names are fine. Thanks for booking the car with us. I wanted to call and go over just a couple things with you. Is this a good time? If it's not, make a task for yourself to go call him later and make a note. This isn't typical. Most of the time you can get through this. Right now they've got a couple minutes to be able to do it. But if it's not and they have a specific time they want you to call back at, make a note, put it in your calendar, make sure you're available. If you're not, and that's the only time they have available, reach out to myself or to Jen and we'll try and figure it out. But that's extremely rare. Typically people have a couple minutes, and this doesn't take very long to go through. So if they say, yeah, this is a good time, you start with a script. The car you booked is managed by Hassle Free Car, which provides you with many conveniences such as curbside valet service. I'll send you a link with some additional information about us so you understand all of the benefits that come along with it. After our call, I'll also send you a message in a Turo message feed that includes potential fees that you could be charged. Please review that and reply confirming you've reviewed and agreed to the fees list. Once we have that approval, we can finish setting up your booking in our system. And then you go into these other items where you're actually asking them for some information. And again, this doesn't need to be that scripted. You don't have to read this. As you get familiar with it, you'll be comfortable with just telling them all of this stuff and just using this as bullet points. But until you get comfortable with it, just read what it says essentially. And then, to say, can I get your email address? Can I get the email address associated with your Turo account? As they're giving that to you, enter it in. It goes right here. Enter it in, yada yada at yada yada.com. Once you have that, go to the next thing. Do you have your arrival and departure flight information handy? If they have that available, they can give that to you. If they don't, perfectly fine. They can message it on the Turo message feed, or they can go to the Hassle Free Car website, which we will give them that link through the messages. So you don't need to read it to them on the phone. If they ask for it, just say, I don't know it offhand. It's easiest if I just provide it to you in the Turo message feed, so you can click on it and open it. That way, it will be provided after they have approved the fees. The potential fees list has to be approved before we do much of anything else. So if they have it, enter it in. It's all right here. And if they don't, it's no problem. Just go to the next thing. Are you going to need a ski rack or a bike rack or car seat or any add-ons? If so, note those down here so that we get it into the system. And then it's the final thing. I'll send you a link with information about how pickup and drop-off works, but it's quite simple. When you arrive and have your bags, your car will be delivered right to you at passenger pickup by your valet. When you return the car, your valet will meet you at departures to get the car back. It's important to note that our valets are all scheduled for your exact end booking time. Currently, your return date and time is August 9th at 8 a.m. So that's when they'll be scheduled to meet you. If you need to return the car at a different time, it's very important that you notify us with as much notice as possible so that we can adjust the schedule. Do you have any questions for me about anything? And if not, you can just say thanks so much for your time. Be sure to watch for messages from us coming from the Turo system. If you call them and you get their voicemail, just read this off. Hi, this message is for Anthony. This is Zach with Hassle Free Car. I'm calling to discuss some details for your upcoming trip with our 2014 Audi Allroad that you booked through Turo. Please give me a call back as soon as you're able at 720-463-3380. If I don't answer, please leave me a message letting me know when I can give you a call back. Thanks for booking with Turo. And hang up. I've made this call, so I can now mark this task as complete. Click the back button to go back to the trip, because you also need to check something else. At the very top of the page, it has a question whether you've actually spoken with the renter on the phone. If you did, click yes. If you left a message, click no. If you call and the number is invalid, or the number, if it's invalid, let me know, because we need to get that fixed. But if it goes to, if there's no voicemail, for instance, if it just rings and rings and rings, or it says voicemail has not been set up, or for whatever reason you don't talk to him and you couldn't leave a message, click no contact, cannot contact. And you can always put comments on every trip. You can put a comment down here and tag someone. So if you did have an issue calling the renter, put in myself, put in Zach, and say I tried to call the number, but it's invalid, or it's invalid, and I get an error message, something like that, to let me know. Certainly verify that the number is correct. Verify that this phone number does match the number on the Turo account. And if you're still having issues, we can get it addressed. That's very, very rare, though. Typically, it is the correct phone number. So you would mark that as yes, I spoke with him on the phone. And now you're going to go down here to the second task that we created for you and open that up. This is the message you're going to send to the renter. We're going to go to Turo. Let's just go to Turo.com. You can obviously have his trip open from the link that you had that you have from the email, but I'll just go to it directly and we'll search for it in the system. So I'm going to log in as with our account. And it's going to take me right to the dashboard. The dashboard has every trip on the page for both active trips and upcoming trips and recently completed trips. So it's all chronological. The interface here is not great for navigation because we have so many trips, it's difficult to go through and find people. So what I typically do is I use the browser search function. On a Mac, you hit Command F and it pops up down here at the bottom, or it'll pop up here in the top corner. On a PC or a Windows computer, you hit Command F, I believe, in the browser, and it will allow you to search that page. So the person we're looking for is Anthony, H-O-N-Y, Fontaine. Yep, that's the trip, 2014 Audi Allroad, and the dates are August 3rd through August 9th. August 3rd through August 9th, that's correct. We'll go ahead and open that trip up and scroll all the way down to the bottom, because we're going to paste the message into there. So the interface for this is a little bit odd. The way you do that is you need to first just click on the text, and it's going to open. It's going to allow you, take you into edit mode, which we wish it didn't do, but it's just the way Podia works. Once you click it, then you can highlight it. Be very careful. You actually can edit this, and you wouldn't want to be doing that. So just make sure that you, just make sure you're very careful when you're in edit mode so that nothing gets deleted on accident. Go ahead and highlight all of the text, and you're going to start with, where it says thank you very much for booking our vehicle, and then at the end, currently it ends with the what to do now. Make sure this gets included. Sometimes that gets accidentally left off. So just pay close attention to what you're highlighting and copying. We'll go ahead and copy, and you can right click and do copy, or hit Command C, or on a Mac or on a PC it's Control C. So we'll copy it, and then we're going to go over to the Turo message feed and we're going to paste it, which would be either Control V on a PC, Command V on a V as in Victor on a Command V on a Mac, or you can right click and do paste. Make sure all of it is there. Yep, thank you very much for booking our vehicle. We do our absolute best. Yep, that's the beginning of it. And then what to do now, nothing's cut off. Good. We can go ahead and send it. Make sure that you wait. Do not leave this page until the message has actually appeared on the page after you've submitted it. If you close the browser too fast before it's actually posted to the page, it may not finish posting, it may not go through. Back in Podio, now that I've finished sending this message, I can check that task as complete, go back to the trip page, and then we are done. With this trip, it is ready to go until, it is in the system. There's nothing more to do until we get further information from the renter. Once the renter replies back and says, I confirm the fees, he acknowledges that he's read this potential fees list, and he will reply back here. It has to be here. He can't reply on the phone or via text message or any other way. It has to be in the Turo message feed, and he would say something like, I've read and acknowledged the fees, or even something as simple as sounds good. As long as it's right after this message and we know that he is talking about this potential message feed, we're good. All we need is his acknowledgement that he has read it and agrees to those fees. Once that's happened, we would click yes. And I'm not going to do that now because he hasn't. And once I click yes, it actually triggers additional things in the system to do. It's going to give you the next task to do. But once he's done that, we would click yes. And then you would refresh the page, and you will get another task here that tells you to send an additional message. It's done in the exact same way. You open the task up, copy the text, and paste it into here and hit send. And that's it.